the true story of the Nazi female guards and their executions. Have you ever heard of the Nazi female guards? Women who played dark roles in concentration camps, committing unimaginable atrocities. But what happened to them after the war? Today, let's explore the stories of power, cruelty, and justice that marked their lives and their deaths. The female guards, known as Aufseherinnen, were recruited to supervise concentration camps such as Ravensbrück, Auschwitz, and Bergen-Belsen. Though they were few in number, their actions left deep marks in history. Unlike the traditional image associated with the female role, these women abandoned any trace of compassion. They were authoritative and ruthless figures, actively involved in the torture, punishment, and executions of prisoners. Among them, Irma Grese stands out, nicknamed the Beast of Belsen. At only 22 years old, Irma became known for her brutality, whipping prisoners, using dogs to attack helpless people, and deciding who would live or die in the gas chambers. Another infamous figure was Ilse Koch, known as the Witch of Buchenwald. She was the wife of Karl Koch, the commander of Buchenwald concentration camp, and her cruelty was marked by a macabre obsession. She collected human skin from tattooed prisoners. Reports suggest she had prisoners' skin removed to create furniture and other decorative items, which made her even more hated among the prisoners. Despite her privileged position, living in luxury while prisoners suffered, Koch was also known for her indifference and brutality. She held lavish parties in the concentration camp, while thousands died around her. This stark contrast between the opulence of her life and the suffering of the prisoners reflects the psychopathy that characterized many of those involved in the Nazi regime. When the war ended and the Nazi regime fell, the consequences for these women came quickly. Irma Grese, one of the most cruel figures among the female guards, was captured by the Allied forces and brought to trial. In 1945, at the Bergen-Belsen trial, Grese was sentenced to death for her actions during the war, including murders, torture, and abuse. She was hanged, becoming one of the youngest women to be executed for war crimes. Ilse Koch, on the other hand, had a different fate. After being captured and tried, she was sentenced to life imprisonment, but her story ended tragically when she committed suicide in prison in 1967. Analyzing the stories of Irma Grese and Ilse Koch, it's impossible not to question the role of justice after World War II. The two women who represented the cruel face of the Nazi regime received very different fates, but both paid in some way for their crimes. Irma Grese's execution by hanging was a definitive form of justice, while Ilse Koch, by committing suicide in prison, may have escaped the true punishment she deserved. What these stories reveal is how power, impunity, and extremist ideology can shape such monstrous behaviors. Women who, in most cases, were not very different from other people in terms of origin and life history, but who, under the Nazi regime, became responsible for indescribable atrocities. These women were not isolated figures, but symbols of how cruelty can be ingrained in a system that dehumanizes others. Irma Grese and Ilse Koch, like many others, showed that even women who are generally seen as caregivers and protectors can become agents of evil in a context of totalitarianism and violence. Although justice reached some of these figures, the question remains, was it truly enough? The pain and suffering these women caused are incalculable, and their stories serve as a grim reminder of the consequences of extremism and dehumanizing ideology. These stories of cruelty, justice and vengeance make us reflect on how evil can manifest in unexpected forms. What happened to Irma Grese and Ilse Koch does not erase the horrors they caused, but forces us to look at the reality that even in times of war, humanity can lose itself in unimaginable ways. These female guards, who seemed to be ordinary figures, became symbols of a ruthless regime, and, despite their fates, the pain of the victims remains as a testimony to the crimes committed. Now, we want to hear your opinion. Do you think the justice these women faced was enough to pay for their actions? How do you believe history should remember figures like them? Leave your opinion in the comments below and share this video so more people can reflect on this dark period in history. If you want to learn more about other impactful events in history, subscribe to the channel and activate the notifications. Here, we bring not only the facts, but also reflections that help us understand the past and, consequently, improve our present.